What's the equation that relates distance, rate, and time? You've heard it before. Even if you haven't worked with it, you've probably heard it before. Yeah? Well, distance equals what?
Rate.
I need an equation. I need some distance equals what times what?
Rate times time.
Yeah, distance equals rate times time. You kind of know that already, even if you've never really used it before. If I am traveling 50 miles an hour and I go for 10 hours, how far have I traveled? If I'm going 50 miles an hour for 10 hours, how far have I traveled? How did you get 500 miles? Multiply them together, right? If I'm jogging at, I don't know, what's a good jogging pace? How many miles per hour? What's a good jogging pace?
7.
7 miles per hour. Okay, that would be awesome. Okay, is that good? Yeah, that's pretty good. 7 miles per hour for 3 hours. If I go 7 miles per hour for 3 hours, how far have I gone? 21 miles. Exactly. You've multiplied them together. So what are they giving you here? What is 209.2? What is that? That's a distance. 209.2. What's this right here? What's 2 hours? Time equals rate times 2. You need to isolate the rate. So how do you isolate the rate? What do you do to both sides? Divide. What do you divide by 2? You divide distance by 2, but you also divide what by 2? You divide both sides by 2 is what I'm looking for. Both sides by 2. What you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other side. So what cancels on the right-hand side? What goes away on the right-hand side of that equation? The 2's go away, and you're left with 209.2 over 2 is equal to the rate. So now you need to do a division. It's going to be 100.6, and then it's kilometers per hour. So do you have is that answer up there? Yeah, so the question is rate. What are the units for rate? Is rate in hours per kilometer? When you're in a car and I say how fast are you going, you would say 35 miles per hour. So the distance goes on top because what are the units on 209? This is kilometers. And what's the distance on the 2 right there? You can't really see that. What's the distance on the 2 right there? What's the unit? I'm sorry. What's the unit on that 2? 2 hours. So you divided both sides by 2 hours. So what's the unit when you're done? Kilometers divided by hour. So it's 104.6. What work would you show for 7? What would you need to do? What would you need to find to figure out which one is bigger?
3 times 5.
Yeah, what's 3 times 5?
15 minus
15 minus 4 on one side, and what's on the other side? 3 times what? 1. So what's 15 minus 4? 11, and what's 3 times 1? 3. You have 11 and 3. So what about the second one here? 2x divided by 5 plus 7. This is something we will get to very soon if you haven't seen before, but what operations do you do first? Do you do division or addition first? Division. So this is going to be 2x over what? 5 plus 7 on one side, and what's on the other side? 2x over 12, exactly. Here's the problem. You're trying to figure out which one is bigger. Do you know which one of those is bigger? You have 4 choices. Either A is bigger, B is bigger, they're equal, or you don't know. Which one is it?
You don't know.
Why not? Why don't you know?
Because you can't tell.
What? We don't know what x is. Depending on what x is, if x is 0, for example, if you plug in 0 right here, what does this become? If you plug in 0 right there, what does the whole thing become?
0.
0, exactly. If you plug in 0 into this, what does this become? 7. So if you plug in 0, you get 7. But what happens if I plug in, I have to come up with more examples here. The question is this always going to be? Not really. It's not always going to be. If I plug in a negative number, things will change. If I plug in, for example, if I plug in -1, you'd end up with -1/6. But if I plug in negative over here, what's -2/5 plus 7? Is that going to be positive or negative? Positive. So this would be positive, that would be negative. So this would be smaller than this one. So I guess I'd have to keep looking, but you're not guaranteed because can x be a lot of different things? Absolutely. It could be a lot of different things. Kids, this is some new stuff, so this is what I'd like you to do tonight. It's pretty simple, okay? You already have a few assignments here. You have to make sure you can start packing up while I talk about this. You have to finish your test corrections and make sure you find the notes. Finish test corrections. Find notes. And the rest of the homework will be right here. I'm going to write this in after you leave, so you have to check the document.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's correct. See you, kids.
So I forgot, how much tape should I use?